As for Beans, Beans goes wide.
Beans outbreaks himself.
What's good, fellas? It's your boy Oak, back on track, this time around the home of Formula One racing. It's Silverstone International circuit for a 14-lap race in the Formula Mazdas. I'm excited to bring this one to you, as this was another fantastic race and there is absolutely a bit of drama to come. So stick around, maybe find a snack, sit back, relax, maybe cuddle a loved one, a dog, cat, stuffed animal, racing wheel, and let's get into this race. As for our race strategy, we're going to start on the soft tire, end up going to the mediums around about lap 6 or 7 for the guy on pole position. And this is interesting, he will actually opt in for the hard tires, skipping the pit stop completely. We'll come to find out that that may have been the better strategy, but as for us, we start in P6 just outside the top 5, once again at Silverstone International circuit. As we get going off the line, shifting from 3rd into 4th gear, we get a very good run on Bean 7229. However, coming through farm curve, now 3 wide, we get pushed a little bit wide, and we certainly get a little bit of understeer, and we're going to end up on the grass. We don't lose too much time to the guys behind us, but as we come through the loop, we'll be in 7th position, putting a little bit of pressure on the guy in P6. He's actually going to wreck. He's actually hit Bean 7229 in 5th place. So for the guy who was in 6th, that's going to be his race done and dusted. For us, as we come through club at the end of lap number 1, you'll see that we're still in P6, but we are applying an immense amount of pressure to Bean 7229 as we come down the Hamilton straight, headed into Abbey. We'll shift up into 5, drop it back down into 4th gear. We're going to keep it on the inside, try to give him as much room as we possibly can. Coming down into Village, he's going to keep it on the outside. We're going to drop it 2 gears, park it on the apex, coming through the loop. And as we fast forward here to the end of lap number 2, you'll see this is just like Thanksgiving at our in-laws. The battle with the Beans is certainly not over, but as we come through club once again, we'll put about a half a second on him, gaining a bit of time as we just took the better line through that section. As we come through Abbey, you'll see that we spot our braking point just a bit too late, so a lead that was a second to the guy behind, that gap has now been reduced to about a second, and it's actually going to be much smaller of a gap now as he hits us coming into Village. Immediately, I love the sportsmanship. This guy says sorry almost instantly. More importantly, however, we get a very good exit into the hangar straight, and that's going to be enough to secure us P5. And as we fast forward now to the end of lap number 4, we've increased the gap to about 3 seconds between ourselves and Beans behind us. More importantly, we are now within a second of 3rd and 4th place as they battle headed into Village. And as you'll see here, folks, 4th place is going to keep it up the inside. That's going to turn out bad for both of them as he spins out 3rd place. All come through and take that position. And as we head down the hangar straight, after starting P6, going off in lap 1, turn 2, having lost another position because of it, we find ourselves having gained 4 positions in 5 laps as we head into Stowe, now in podium position in 3rd. And at this point, the race is certainly coming back to us, as if you'll now notice just up ahead of us, the guys in 1st and 2nd place are now battling as they come through club, only 5 seconds ahead of us. And at this point, folks, I'm starting to wonder, with any bit of luck, if we'll be in contention for another win. But as we come to the end of lap number 5, you'll see that we set our fastest time of the day of a 109.4, and as we come in for our end lap, we're actually going to only be less than a tenth off of that fastest previous lap. As we come into the pits, that's going to be great for us, as these soft tires were starting to get a bit worn, but we were able to find a good amount of pace in them. We'll come out now on lap number 7 in 7th place. And for the rest of this lap, I'll check back in with you at the end, but for the rest of this lap, I'm just going to give you guys the raw audio of this car because it sounds phenomenal. I'll rejoin you guys at the start of lap number 8. We're going to be just passing the pit exit as LT is coming out of the pits. He's been about 2 seconds behind us for the last couple of laps. He's still maintained that gap, so he's lost no time. However, as for the guy who was in second place, Mr. Wacky Mackey, we've actually performed a bit of an undercut on him, as a gap that was about 5 seconds is now 3 seconds. We'll fast forward you here now to the middle of lap number 9 as we come down the Hangar Straight, and I would say this is where I was making up a significant amount of time. As you see there, we get a 9.6 segment score, and I think a big part of that segment is just getting a very good exit down this long straight, because you can absolutely make up a ton of time. Now, if we take a look up into the distance, you'll see that Wacky Mackey actually gets in a battle headed into club with Maxi 644133, and things do not go well for Mackey. As you see, Wacky actually ends up crashing out. That'll be his race done and dusted. We've now been promoted up to P4. Maxi will go to P3. He's now on the podium, and so we're going to be left with work to do between ourselves and Maxi in third place. As we come through farm down into village, you notice that the gap between myself and LT behind us is still hovering around that 1 second mark, so he was certainly finding a good bit of pace on that medium tire. What I was certain of is that I was getting much better exits than he was coming into the Hangar Straight, and as you can see there, we're going to be up a tenth on our fastest lap, getting a 9.6 segment score. But more importantly, the gap that was about a second between myself and Dorgal is now going to be closer to about 2 seconds as we head into Stowe. More importantly than that is that we're applying a ton of pressure to Maxi ahead of us, and the stage is certainly being set for what will be a great battle between myself and Maxi as we head through club down into the Hamilton Straight. We get a very good run coming down the straight headed into turn number 1, but as we approach our braking zone, we are going to back out of that move just because I did not want to lose too much time or simply crash out of this race. Maxi seems to have overslowed, expecting me to make that move. Either way, no penalty for either party on the collision, but we do pay the price in that LT Dorgal is now within half a second. This guy is sort of like that uncle that never left the house. He's just always here. So again, we come into contact with Maxi once again as he overslowed, and we're carrying more speed than he was. Now, instead of getting a good exit coming down the Hangar Straight, we're now in a drag race coming down the Hangar Straight as LT Dorgal is within a tenth of us. He's actually going to back out of that inside move, not fancying it as well. Maxi again is going to overslow, really covering up that inside line. That's going to be bad for us because again, we're going to come in contact with him, but we are going to have the inside line headed into club. He does give us a good bit of room. We do get a very good exit headed to the straight, but we get a little bit of wheel spin. That's going to put us on the curb coming down the straight, once again losing time to LT Dorgal behind us. So instead of attacking headed into Abbey, we're going to be on the defense, but Maxi's going to go a little bit too defensive for really no reason. he's going to overslow once again. That's going to mean that we lose a position to LT because we come in contact with Maxi. That's going to mean the gap between myself and LT is going to be about a second as we come down the hangar straight. And at this point, folks, I'm going to need some of my best laps yet if I want to make it onto the podium position. Fast forward now to the beginning of lap number 13, and this is a point in the race, folks, where small mistakes really can multiply into much larger issues. So we are going to make a small mistake here, and we do get a little bit of wheel spin because of it. But as we get a very good exit through turn 5 down the hangar straight, you'll see that we're actually up 2/10 on what is probably one of the most critical laps in the race with only 2 laps left. And so a gap that was about a second as we head into Stowe will only be about a quarter of a second, but he is able to get on the apex just that much sooner and subsequently get on the power that much sooner. That's going to grant him still about 2/10. We're still going to be up on our fastest lap 3/10, so we're certainly still finding a good amount of pace on these worn medium tires, but he gets a little bit of wheel spin as he comes down into the Hamilton straight. That's going to mean for us that we're going to catch up just a bit here and be within a quarter of a second headed into Abbey, now on the attack. And as you see here, coming through Abbey, LT actually ends up coming in contact with Beans. That's going to be LT's race done and dusted. As for Beans, Beans goes wide. Beans outbrakes himself. He goes wide headed into Village. That'll be P2 for us. And after all the fighting that we've done in this race, after starting P6 just outside of the top 5 to find ourselves now within only a couple turns of finishing P2, this will go down as one of our best performances to date on this game. And if you enjoyed this race, leave a like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments down below what your favorite part of this race was. As always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back on track soon enough.